I have so many buttons to push. You'd think I'd know what I was doing by now.
You're listening to a Dare Media Group and Mastiff Media radio station. From Dare Media Group, Radio X Gold, Radio X Country, 6RXM, Radio X Magic, and Dare Talk Radio. And from Mastiff Media, Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Right Talk Radio, Forward Radio, Mastiff Sports, and Shady News Radio. For more,
you're tuned to the Sportcat Show.
Oh, whoops. Hit that button too soon.
Viva la Sportcat.
Whoa.
Sportcat Uberales.
Oh, I got fans.
Viva la Sportcat.
Hello, everybody.
Go Sportcat. Fans everywhere love the Sportcat.
That's right. Fans everywhere love the Sportcat. Make sure you share, like, thumbs up this show. Let's see, taking care of some business there. We are live on radio. I'm sorry, Dare Talk Radio. Yes, I did it prematurely, Chris. Good after. Let's see. Let me pull this up. Good morning in Sydney. It's 11:02 a.m. Wow, that is early. So good morning to you. I did. Well, Windows 11 has changed everything. I can tell you what time it is in Sydney. The rest, I don't know. Good morning, good afternoon to you. You're listening to the Sportcat Show. We are live. We are back every Wednesday, and we'll talk about, if you're a true fan, hang around to the end of the show. We'll talk about the Sportcat Daily Gazette. If you're listening on the interwebs through Yerg's Radio, thank you to Yerg's Radio and Dare Talk Radio for allowing us to tickle your ears. Come over and find us on the YouTube. Join the chat. We got a great chat. We got Chris in here. We got Brenda. And Denise, as always, we've got a good chat. So everybody come on in. And while I'm talking all this stuff, I guess I should bring out my co-host and introduce her tonight. Maybe. Well, she's apparently ran off and left me, like all the women in my life. So tonight we had a lineup of it was kind of a country rock band and a author, but something came up, and so we had to drop back and punt. And our second guest has been so kind to come early and talk to us. Harley, how are you? I was introduced you, and you ran off and left me.
I had to get a hair tie. My hair was like in my face.
Oh my God, you're so girly. So,
well, I hope I'm girly. Hi, Denise.
She's
Hi,
don't
Chris.
run. I don't know really what that means, but so anyhow, let me
have a good evening, Brenda.
Make sure to hit the thumbs up button on the way out, Brenda. So Harley, I was telling everyone that we were supposed to have a rock band, and it's kind of a rock band, but he had a medical emergency with a family member. Hey, I understand exactly how that is. So he had to cancel. So our second guest of the night, well, he's right on cue for us with our paranormal world, and especially me and the big furry guy in the woods. So I messaged him and I said, if you want to come on early, please. So he was kind enough to. And so I've got him backstage. Let me bring him out. Steven, hello there. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Yeah, kind enough to, because I can talk a lot, so that gives me plenty of time.
Hey, I am with you, brother. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I looked at the book covers and stuff you sent me, and I was like, damn it, where was this stuff when I was a kid? So.
Exactly. That's why I like writing that stuff. I mean, that's the stuff I wanted when I was. My son had some. Yeah. Let me say, though, I love the bookcase in the background. I love seeing the books in the background, but I love the horror stuff, too, because I do a horror podcast with a buddy of mine. So, I feel right at home with all that. So my name's Steven.
I got more books than I know what to do with. I got authors sent them to me to pre-read them, and when I go on vacation,
all over there on that bookshelf.
when I go on vacation, I'm just going to read for 2 weeks.
That sounds great. My son just moved out, so I've got room to bring all my books out of storage, and I've been cataloging them. I actually had like 3 boxes of duplicate books because I didn't know I had them all. And I was going through my Star Wars collection. I have, up until the split in 2014, I had all the Star Wars books, hardbacks. So yeah, what you got there, that's nothing. I'm sorry. That's a little bit of books.
No, Mrs. Sportcat made me get rid of quite a bit. and I keep my comic book collection hid in the closet so she can't find it. Thank God for Kindle. Thank God for Kindle.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. So,
oh my God, Brenda, are you okay?
So, hold on, Steven.
I like the live with the chat. I've not done that before. That's awesome.
Well, we've got a pretty loyal following, and a couple of them. Brenda, she messaged me yesterday. I hope she gets to feeling better. She could announce it if she wants to, but she got sick and ended up in the
She
ICU.
told us.
Okay, yeah, all right. So
that's why I said that.
So she was in the hospital. She got sick, and now she's home. So we're wishing her well. And I told her she could come over here and scream and get her frustrations out of me. So get well, Brenda. So
some laughter, because it's the best medicine.
Absolutely. So I'm sorry. We've interrupted you about 10 times. I'm shiny. It's like
I've interrupted me, so it's no big deal.
I'll do that a lot. I'm autistic with ADHD. So.
I love the sweatshirt. Yes. Yeah. I have a autistic stepson.
It says ADHD highway to look, a squirrel.
Yes.
And my job, when I wear this, they know it's going to be a very fun day.
You should have sent me this memo. I didn't know.
Yeah, I got some of the same thing. I got an autistic stepson, and I've been told that I might have some ADHD or some spectrum going on.
You know, in my house, there's me and my 3 boys who are autistic with ADHD, and my daughter has just recently been diagnosed with autism and ADHD. So at one time, there was 5 of us.
Good. Wow. Yeah. It's just something I wish people understood a little more, because if you know, oh my gosh. So let me segue using that, because the book I sent you to mention is kind of loosely based on my kids and stepkids. And the one character has autism because my stepson really does have autism. And it was a very difficult thing for me to try and write, because you don't want to offend people, because you get the people like, oh my God, you can't say that. And that's not, I'm like, you know what? I live with it. I know what it's like.
I call myself neurospicy.
Yes, I love that. I've seen t-shirts now with that. Yeah. And I wanted to portray it accurately, and not just the weird things like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. I mean, he was like a conglomeration of like 10 different autistic people. I understand that. Over the top, it's comedy. But I wanted to portray it realistically. So there's a few points in the book where the rest of the family, the other kids in the book, aren't mistreating him, but they're almost manipulating him because they know how his brain works. And you tell him one thing and he'll be just doesn't get it and doesn't care. But you say it a different way, and then he gets it and cares, and he's all in. And another character in the book even brings up, it's like, well, you guys are manipulating him. It's like, no, we care for him much more than the outside world. The outside world is mean and cruel, and they've done bad things to him. We're his family. We're with him. We protect him. But his brain works different. You have to understand how his brain works. And that was the point I was trying to get across, because I know I'll get some Karens.
Me and my husband was just having this conversation about how, because I train older people to use computers, because I am an office manager. So I teach older people, and I have to go about it different for their brain. And I said, you know, when people talk to me and they explain things to me, I have to have them rephrase it to where my brain comprehends it.
Yes.
Because how they go about it, it doesn't always work. And there's another good show, The Good Doctor.
The Good Doctor. Yeah, I started to watch that one. I got like 3 or 4 seasons in, and I just lost a little interest. I love their portrayal and all that, but I don't know. The show just didn't keep my attention. There was one
It gets
on
better. It really does. Like once he starts getting like practicing more and actually working with patients, because there's one episode where he's working with there's a kid that they bring in, and the kid has autism, and he picks up on all the signals of it.
Yes.
And like the lights bother him, which I have issues with lights at work. It gives me really bad migraines, and just being in public, I get overstimulated going to Walmart, and like my kids, they overstimulate me, but that's just how we are. We overstimulate each other.
Yeah. And me, I mean, like I've not been tested. I don't think I'm a high end spectrum disorder autistic or anything, but I've got certain traits that are like really high. And
well, there's still 2 forms of it. Like there's high functioning autism. That's what we have in our house, where we're constantly on the go, 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 go.
Right.
But then there's another form of the high functioning autism. It's where you're nonverbal and all that.
Right. So for me, I get drained around people, and I usually am better in large groups like that I'm in front of talking than like a small group at a table just chatting. So that, that's partly introvert too.
Down
yes. I spent a weekend at the Dairy Railroad Days with a lot of people. And by Sunday night, I'm like, everybody leave me alone. I'm done. I need to go recharge away from everybody. But while I'm out there, I'm fully on, and it just
that's me when I go to work, because I do a job between my seasonal job. And right now I'm working at Arby's between my seasonal job, and I am spot on at my job. And like everyone who comes through there, they're like, you're just so friendly, so just wonderful to be around. And I'm like,
you don't look autistic.
I hate that. And then I'm like, well, I'm good until that 8-hour mark. Well, I start getting it about 6.5, and then I start feeling the draining to where I don't want to be there no more. And they can start see when I'm starting to shut down, and then they move me out of that area, because after so long of dealing with people, I'd start going introvert, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So then when I get home, I have to have a couple hours, and my kids have to leave me alone, because I've already been overstimulated. I've already had the whole day of trying. I wear my mask when I'm out in public, not my like COVID mask, but like my
the
face
Jason mask.
Well, no, it's my
the virtual mask, the invisible mask. Yeah, I get it. Though it might be better to wear the Jason mask, then you wouldn't have to worry about people. I'll just
wear my ghost face.
Yeah, ghost face. Yeah, newer one. So I don't know, where do we want to go? You ate a couple things. The book, or where are we?
Wherever you want to start.
Okay.
Yeah, the show's about you. So.
Oh man, it's called the wrong thing then, but that's okay. We'll let that go this time. So I write middle grade books, kids, everything from younger 7 or so up to early teens. So the book we were originally talking about tonight is Transgression of Magic. It's a fantasy series. I wrote it because there's a local, I live by Kent State, and there's a local Wizarding World Festival, and I wanted to get.
I'm up here in Ohio too.
Oh, where at?
I'm in Parma.
Oh, okay. I'm just down by Kent State. We're like
my daughter was going to go to Kent State.
Oh my God.
She's in Tri-C right now, and she's about to transfer to Cleveland State.
Yeah. It's Kent State's just amazing. I can't believe walking around with my stepdaughter. I'm like, I want to go back to school, So I needed a fantasy book, and I wrote a short story that turned into a 4-book series. And this is the second book of that series. And again, without meaning to, this book explores things that kids have to deal with. Like I mentioned with the autism, and it's only a small part of my other book, but in this one has to deal with a parent that's been kind of abusive and is an alcoholic, and there's reasons why. And we find that out in book 2. Book 1, we just have this horrible parent. And it's so difficult nowadays to write that stuff because there are kids out there that go home every day to drunk parents that are very abusive, physically, verbally, mentally, extremely. So I wanted to bring that out in the book, but not get parents like, oh my God, you can't do that. That's just horrible. I disagree with that attitude because the kids that deal with it, they're like, it helps them. They need to see it, and know that others are out there like them. They're not alone. I just think some parents are wrong. We'll just leave it at that. So I put it in. If parents don't like it, there's other books. But I didn't show like just all this drinking. He never abuses, like hits the main character, nothing like that. There's a little bit of arguing, yelling, and that's about as far as I would go. But this one is about he finds out about his father. And there's a whole journey they go on that he didn't expect after book 1. So that's the Town Magician series. It's a fun series I've been doing for kids. And I like to work with kids and want to encourage them to read, encourage them to write. So in the back of the book, I put words to know, words that are in my book that may be a little bigger. I put in discussion questions to help parents and homeschool parents, teachers. And I also put writing inspiration, basically, hey kids, did you like these characters? Write some fan fiction. Here's a couple ideas for stories. So I do that in all my books because I like working with kids.
I need to pick up a couple of your books for my youngest son.
You know what? We should be.
Okay.
What was
that? Was
about?
interesting.
No idea. We're not even talking about aliens.
Not yet. So yeah, Harley, that'd be great. Next time I'm coming up to the Cleveland area, I'll let you know. Definitely, I'll bring a couple up to you.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
My youngest son, he has oppositional defiant disorder, and I'm not sure if you know what that is.
Yep.
And he's got that mixed with autism and ADHD, so it's really hard for him in school because he has to be in a smaller classroom with the fact that he can't function in normal classes. Right.
Yeah, that my stepson doesn't have that, but he was born and lived school years in Alabama, and they were extremely backwards and did not want to accommodate anything and didn't believe
That's how it was. Like, we moved here in 2018 from Oklahoma, and his kindergarten teacher didn't want to accommodate his IEP and actually came to me and was like, you know what? I don't like your child.
Wow.
I was like, oh, wow, I really don't like you either. So the feeling's mutual.
Yeah. I'm glad you're being paid for that job.
Well, she got fired. That was her only year at that school.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
I called the school board and I was like, no, she's not going to talk to my child like that. She's not going to talk to me like that. Nope. She's a teacher. She's here to teach. And I did go to her to begin with and said, this is what's wrong with my child. If you cannot handle him, let's put him in the classroom. I know she can't handle him because she had his older brother.
And most schools are doing much better nowadays than like when my stepson, 25 years ago, or when I was a kid, we didn't even know autism. It was just
the Consolation School here in Parma actually kicked him out because they said they can't accommodate his IEP.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, well, thanks for letting me know after he's already been here for so many months.
Right. Wow.
But the school he's in now, they're really good with him. So,
I don't want to sound like, beating on teachers because really they do have a rough job. They do not get paid what they're worth. And they're getting asked to do
my
more
daughter's
and more.
going to be a teacher in early childhood education with special education as her minor.
Oh, God bless her.
Well, she said there's not enough good teachers who know how to handle kids with disabilities.
That's true.
And she said with her younger brother, because her and her younger brother are really close. And she said he's the reason she's doing this.
And that's good because
he's gone through some bad teachers.
Oh yeah, there's a lot there. And that's one of the things. So people have asked me, well, you do so much with kids. You work with kids so much. Well, don't you want to be a teacher? I'm like, hell no, I don't want to be a teacher. That would ruin it for me. I enjoy working with kids. I enjoy doing that stuff, but to be a teacher would just kill it for me. And I'd be that guy at Target. Please welcome to Target, which is not anything bad. I'm just saying anything would be better than doing that after a while. Honestly, I admire the teachers a lot. So that's why I try.
Painters' houses are never painted, and
right,
carpenters' houses are always falling apart. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So good for her. But you got to have some tough skin for it nowadays. A lot. Because parents are ridiculous in their expectations and stupid things they say and do. I've got several friends that are teachers, and I've heard the stories. So I was a scout leader, and I got plenty of things that I looked at people like, are you stupid? Are you asking me to do what? Yeah. So, yeah.
I with my seasonal job, I'm the office manager for H&R Block here in Parma, and people ask some of the questions and I'm like, did you just really say that?
You should try being a paramedic.
Oh, geez.
Or even like working at fast food restaurants. When people come through there, you're like, are you really that dumb?
Yeah.
They
people have gotten ridiculous, which writing is great if you're an introvert and you don't want to deal with people until you have to go set up a table, or, I've learned things about people doing author table, vendor tables, not only being a scout leader and stuff like that. Here's a little anecdote that's funny. So because I write fantasy and I want to attract kids, I have a doormat I put right in front of my table in my booth and all that. And it says, definitely not a trap door. It looks like a trap door. And I put it up. So the funny thing is, almost every time adults look at it and chuckle and walk away. 20-ish year old kids, call them kids, they're adults, 20-ish year old. They look at it and laugh and then step over it to come to the booth. But younger kids look at it and then they start stomping on it just to see. Almost every time. I've had parents even yell at their, no, don't step on that. I'm like, it's a doormat, folks. So you learn weird things about people in situations like that where you get groups of people coming in.
That's funny. That would be what, Gen Z, right?
Yeah, the 20-ish year olds, yeah, whatever my kids are, they're 20, early 20s, mid 20s now. Geez, oh man.
I'm with you. God knows they've got to survive. Let's hope they do. So
yeah, I was talking to them.
I think they'll do better than the current generation.
There's definitely some things I mean, I'm Gen X. And the boomers were down on Gen X and just, oh my God, you guys are going to ruin the world. But now the younger generation is like, we're scared of you guys because you're weird. But I look at
I'm late. I'm October of 85. So
okay.
I was born on that cusp where I was still with Gen X, but they consider me a millennial.
Yeah, well, it was Gen Y for a while. They changed that, but yes.
I'm on that cusp because I was still doing Gen X.
Right.
And I'm more, what's the word? I'm more drawn to Gen X than millennials because I still,
good for you. Well, you got
I've still played outside. Well, my grandparents raised me.
Okay.
So I didn't
grew up like that. Yeah. I will give them a few things though. My oldest stepson's 30 and he's jumped around between jobs, doesn't quite know what he wants to do. And that's fine, whatever. But he recently had a problem at his job, and the boss manager.
Another fellow Libra. Glenn.
What?
Me and Glenn are both Libras, and Denise is too.
So my Frankie, my stepson, he was getting harassed by his boss. She was being mean, mistreating him, and she said some things that were totally inappropriate. And he went, "You know what? I really don't need this from you. You could do that to somebody else." He got up and he left, walked out, done. And from my generation, what my parents like, "Oh, you never do that at a job. Oh my God, you'll be blacklisted. You'll never have another job." But those guys are like, "No, you don't mistreat me because I can find another job." So there are some
where I'm like the millennials because of the fact that I still work my best at my job, but I still am not going to let them treat me like that.
Step all over you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still will work as much as you want me to work. I will work until I'm dying, but you're not going to treat me like crap if I'm going to put in all this work.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So I'll give them credit for that. You know, there's some good things in that generation. We just got to see it sometimes. So I'll give them that.
It's the younger generation. Like my youngest is 13. It's that generation that I'm like, because the 16 and under, I work with a lot of them, and they're so glued to their cell phones and trying to get them to work, and they feel entitled, and
that's a rough one. And it's funny you say that. I saw a study a while back, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was a very large percentage. They however they asked this or whatever, but it was a very large percentage. They said that people will read books and they read words. They don't picture movies in their head. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'd never realized that. I thought everybody saw the movie in their head as they were reading, but apparently like 78% of the people don't, something like that, some huge number. So again, I looked at that as an author and said, well, I need to convince the kids that this is a movie in their hand. This isn't a book with words. It's a movie. And instead of reading words, which no wonder kids struggle if it's just word after word after word after word, you know, it's so much easier when you're reading it as a movie. So that's then my thinking has shifted a bit on that, trying to present it to kids like it's a movie. And I've got a couple little videos I want to put up on my channel, on my page, for parents, for teachers, for kids. Like, here's some practice to read as a movie. Now, am I a teacher? Am I educated? No. Will this work? Maybe, maybe not. But I've never seen anybody else approaching reading in that way. So we'll see what happens. You know, if I could get some kids that go, oh my gosh, I see it totally different now. And I want to go to the library every day. I've won. I've done some good, and the kids have won. And if it's a win-win, then we're all good. You know,
well, and I think a lot of it has to do with too that this generation, their parents, which would technically be my generation, but because I was raised with older people, I still read to my children when they went to bed. A lot of my generation doesn't have the time to sit and read to their children before bed. When my kids were little, we read at night. That was their thing. Now they're all glued to whatever device they have, and they do a lot of reading their own books on like their tablet, which I'm fine with that as long as they're reading something.
Right. And that is so important. I've argued with teachers about this, that, you know, and I always get the pushback. Well, we're teachers and this is the way we know to do it. I'm like, no, it's not the way you know to do it. Honestly, our education system has only been around for like 100 years or so, and it's changed since then. We don't know definitely that everything we're doing is the right thing to do. And my argument, and I've heard others agree, that if you shove a book in a kid's face that they don't enjoy, they're not looking forward to reading, and they struggle to read it, they're not going to read anything else. I have a friend, the only books he ever read were the ones he was forced to in school and never read another thing else. Well, I've got an author friend, I'll throw his name out, Jeff Strand. He mostly writes what I like to say is adult goosebumps. It's comedy horror. I love his stuff. It's also great. He lived for part of his childhood in Kent, and we were born 2 days apart. So, kind of attracted me to him. I always tell him I'm his stalker. But he writes a few not kids books, tween age, not quite teens, but they're comedy horror. Some of them are just kind of comedy. And he's gotten multiple comments on his Amazon reviews from teachers that are like, oh my gosh, I discovered your books, gave them to my kids, and boys who never wanted to read are coming back and asking for more. And there's my argument. You don't throw The Tempest at a kid to read for the first time, and force them to do it. You let them read other stuff and they'll discover The Tempest once they enjoy reading. My son, that's his favorite Shakespeare. And I never pushed Shakespeare on him. He discovered it on his own because he reads. And I read to those. We were halfway through book 4 of Harry Potter, reading to my kids every night when they weren't paying attention. And I'm like, guys, come on. This is book 4, let's find. And they're like, Daddy, we already both finished reading this. We're on book 5 already. You have to finish it on your own. I'm like, oh my God. So I did. I had to read the darn books all on my own to finish it up to find out the stupid thing ends.
See, my daughter was in like 5th grade reading the Twilight books on her own. And we started out with books like I'll Love You Forever. Because when my grandfather read to us when we were little, that was the book that he read to us. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, he gave me that book as one of my gifts. Nice. And I planned when my daughter gets pregnant, that's going to be the book that I give to her. And we read the book Where the Wild Things Are to my kids, and Bursting Bears, and we did Goosebumps. We did the books that made them want to keep reading. We didn't just pick boring stuff that they didn't keep focusing, because with them being autistic, it's hard to keep their focus. And with me too. That's why most of my books now, because of the fact that I can't sit and keep focus, I do a lot of audio books because of the fact that if it's read to me, my brain will comprehend it better.
Right. And I'm working on getting my books in audiobook, but I'm also putting out an edition with the dyslexic font for kids that are dyslexic. I want to put out a big edition with the big words, because my son had eye troubles and sometimes the small words were hard. I'm also really trying to find out how I can get it into Braille. And I know a lot of blind people just read audiobooks, but I'm like, you know what? There's something different about reading as opposed to the audiobook. I'm sure they would like to read it as opposed to just the audio. So I want to get my stuff in Braille. Again, I'm trying to do everything I can to reach out to as many kids as I can. I'm trying to do, I do short stories to try and get them interested. It's like, oh, it's a short story, I can read it quick, and it gets them into the world.
My son will go through and he'll download free books on our Kindle app and all kind of kid books. And I'll go through and I'll look for my book, and there's a whole bunch of kid books that I'm like, where did these come from?
Right. And me and my friend that we do the horror podcast, we met because we were both in 4th grade and we're the only 2 kids that were reading Stephen King. So we've been friends for life. We do a horror podcast. Imagine that. We both started reading.
I'm gonna have
Stephen
to have
King.
you on my show, The Asylum with Harley and Joker.
Oh, I'd love to.
Because we do horror and true crime and a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, our goal is to do movies that most people have never heard of. And it's next week,
Science Theater. I loved that.
Yes, next weekend down over in Warren is the Sinister Horror Fest, and we're setting up a table there. And when I talk to people about horror and I mention some of the movies, I always get these blank looks like, oh, I've never heard of that. Horror is more than Friday the 13th and Halloween. I'm just saying. But when I go to this Sinister Horror Fest, I have this checklist off. We made a cute little checklist. How many of these have you seen? And they're coming in. They go, oh yeah, I know that one. Know that one. I'm like, oh, you are my people. I love you. You know,
there's a little, it's a B movie. Okay. It's called, oh my gosh, what was it called? Locked Up, or I think that's what it's called.
Okay. Doesn't ring a bell.
Well, it was it was a Hollywood Video exclusive.
Oh, wow.
And like the woman, she went to jail for murdering her husband, okay? Or so they thought. Well, she was under house arrest and he was haunting her and beating her as a ghost. And I was like, wow, for a B movie, this is pretty good.
Yeah, we watch stuff from other countries and things that are old. We watch black and white. We watch new. My buddy has.
I think you would fit into one of like the horror movie brackets that Jeremy does.
Yeah. So the reason we started it was because my buddy has watched and cataloged over 1,300 movies that he's watched, horror movies. So he had to start stretching out. He literally had to request movies from overseas a couple times to get certain movies. So we try and have a big variety on the podcast that we do.
Well,
that's not usually for kids, though. That's one of the few things I do that's not kid related.
Soon we're doing a top sex horror movie bracket.
Oh my God, we talk about the weird sex in some of these horror movies.
And like some of these movies, we found them. They're like older movies and some are really good and they're just weird movies.
The Sentinel with, I think it was Dee Baker, had this weird sex scene. And then
well, some of these are like from 1970. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
The Queens of Evil.
Well, that was the time period for that.
Yeah, some of these are just, I haven't finished watching a good part of them because I keep forgetting we're doing this because I have so much on my plate. And then they message and they're like, oh, we're doing this soon. And I'm like, oh.
We're on season 6 and this season's theme is women directors. And we've watched some really interesting movies. I'm like, so far, they've all definitely had a feel to them that's different than most of the movies we watch. And it's interesting. There's a lot less dialogue in a lot of these movies directed by women. I don't know what it is. It's just,
I have to say my favorite horror movie. It's not Scream. I like Matthew Lillard.
He's great. He says he's going to sign into the new Scooby movie. So just
and not just that. Okay, I'm a huge Ice Nine Kill fan.
Okay,
they're a band, and Matthew Lillard and Ice Nine Kills have teamed up to do this merch because he got his own line of merch that he does for horror stuff.
Nice.
And the fact that he's done Five Nights at Freddy's,
right?
And Skeet Oldman is going to join the new one.
Right, I heard that.
But my favorite horror movie of all time is Pumpkinhead.
Really? I just watched that one, I think, last year. But
see, there's a story behind that. My mother... Okay, I was born in October, so my nickname from my mother was Pumpkinhead. Until she saw the movie. And then she changed it from Pumpkinhead to Pumpkin.
Nice.
And like when I got older, she showed me the movie, and then I was like, oh, okay.
So my son was born on. Whoa! Was born on October 18th. I see Denise said October 17th. That's the day before.
And mine's the 14th. And Glenn, what day's yours?
6th.
Nice. A whole lot of October birthdays. But for his 10th birthday, he had all his friends over. And he said, you know what? Since I'm born in October, we should watch scary movies every year for my birthday. Okay, what do you want? and I didn't censor most things for my kids. I watched a few little things, but I'm like, look, I was reading Stephen King when I was in 4th grade. So what can I say? But so he said, well, let's get 30 Days of Night. Wow, that was a mistake for 10-year-olds. One kid broke down in tears. His parents had to get him, and he never came back over. My kid stopped it halfway through, and he doesn't watch too many horror movies until recent years. So yeah, that was a bad mistake. Failure on that.
Well, I mean, I grew up with my stepsister. Like, she had us watch The Shining and stuff like that. Like, she actually put, like, her and her friend stuffed me and my other sister underneath the laundry basket and sat on top of it and made us watch it. And I'm like,
good Lord.
The 97 miniseries is much better than the old 79 movie or whatever it was, as I think. In fact, I just watched that this week, getting in. So I have this thing every year for Halloween. We always watch horror movies, but I like to watch like Twilight Zone and stuff, getting ready for Halloween, watch all these horror movies that I haven't watched in a while.
They're supposed to be bringing back Tales from the Crypt here soon.
Oh, really? I've been watching that again. Those are fun.
I love Tales from the Crypt. See, I grew up watching Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. So horror has always been just there.
I didn't get to see it until more recent years. So that's at Halloween, but then at Christmas, we have Christmas movies. So I was like, well, what do you do for November? Well, that's easy. You watch Christmas horror movies. It's the bridge between the horror and the Christmas.
They got Thanksgiving horror movies too now.
Thanksgiving was good. But there's some really good Christmas horror movies out now. Some of them, there's a whole slew. It's like every Christmas horror movie has to be a slasher, and they're all horrible. They're just terrible movies, but there are a few good ones now.
Lately, Art the Clown has become like my favorite.
Terrifier. I've just started watching those actually.
And like, I'm terrified of circus clowns. Terrified. But I love it and Terrify, Art the Clown. I love the horror clowns because they're different.
Pennywise, I just watched both versions of it recently too. Getting ready for Halloween. At Christmas Vacation, that's on my list every year. When my daughter saw it for the first time, it was one of those, she was, I don't know, 11 or 12. And it was just this little kid laughing, hysterically giggling. That's a very fond memory of mine with Christmas Vacation. I see that on the chat.
Well, do you watch Nightmare Before Christmas with your Halloween or your Christmas movies?
I watch it in November with my Christmas horror movies. It fits right in. It's one that the whole family has enjoyed. So
that's awesome. I'm not ignoring you guys, I'm distracted. We are having technical difficulties with our radio stations, and I've been trying to troubleshoot the whole time, and I give up. So I'm listening. I'm here with you guys. So.
Take this off finally.
Yeah, no. So they wanted us, but I don't. We'll figure that out. So
I'm a tech guy, and there's just always weird little problems that crop up. You never know.
Windows 11. They forced it upon us. Everything was perfect.
Oh, I've got a company with half Macs, and believe me, Macs have just about as many problems as Windows. So the thing is, most of it nowadays, it's all online services. So it doesn't matter what your thing is, it's an online thing, but that's even less that I can personally troubleshoot quite often.
At H&R Block, our tech support, they go back in like June to start training for the new season, the tech support people. Come January, when we're going back in, I go back in November, but the tax pros go back in January, but they have already started their new training for the new laws and everything that they have every year. But when we get back in office, our tech support is so bad that they can't help us, that I've had to figure out what the issue is because they can't figure it out. 90% of the time, they're like, I'm sorry, I can't help you, and then disconnect from us. And we're like, What's the point of having tech support if they can't help us?
Exactly.
I'm a tech guy. So when I call tech support, I don't need the level 1 try and reboot your computer support. And I get
they do that
frustrated.
to us all the time. And then they're like, we're new here. We're just learning. And we're like, it's January or February. You should have already learned
on the ground
this
running. Yeah.
before we even came back in office.
Right. Yep.
And
Agreed.
then like they'll change our system every year to something new, which there's more issues with the new system that they give us. And we're like last year, they switched us from the regular phone system that plugged into the wall to a phone system that plugged into the computer.
Oh, yes.
So the computer rang, and oh my God, there were so many issues
Pick up
with
the
this.
keyboard.
You're really going to confuse the old people now.
And then they gave headsets and told them they have to use these headsets to talk on the phone when it rings on the computer. And they're sitting there, they're like, I'm supposed to what?
Right.
And I'm
How do
like,
I answer the phone when it's
so
on the
90% of the time, okay, my
great.
phone is connected to that system during tax season. If I don't answer, if I don't have my phone signed in, it does not get answered when I'm not there. So I'll come in the next morning and there'll be 40, 50 missed calls. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting here trying to call these people.
Sounds like an improvement.
Yes. That's the way it is. Technology gets better and better, and we get more stressed every time about it.
Yeah.
And what still gets me is like, there's still clients who call us and they're like, well, where's my check? I'm like, well, see, let me tell you a secret. Once your return is sent to the IRS, we have nothing to do with it. And they're like, well, IRS said they mailed you a check. I'm like, honey, we don't get no checks in our office.
Right. And I love that. Well, you need to call them and figure this out. You need to do.
Yeah, that's what they do to us. And I'm like, well, see, here's the deal. Once it leaves our computer system, we can't tell you anything but what you see on the screen.
Right.
And they're like, no, you need to call them. No,
Good luck.
You are going to have to call them because they will not give us any of that information.
Right.
Like we had one lady, she was just screaming at my tax pro. She lived in Arizona or California, and she was having us do her taxes. And she's like, well, they said they mailed the check to your bank, and you should be able to have access to it. And I'm like, we're not the bank. We have nothing to do with what the bank does. I have the people who want us to put the flash drives that they bring in into our computers. And I'm like,
sure, the tech guys love that.
I'm like, no, I can't do that. And they started screaming and they're like, why can't you? Well, I don't know what's on that flash drive. And for all I know, there could be a virus on that flash drive and it could hack my whole computer system and steal everybody's information. So
quite a few of those people probably don't know what's on the flash drive either.
Agreed.
And the funny part is it's when it's the little old people who bring these flash drives in. And I'm like, where'd you get this flash drive from? And
my
they're
nephew.
like, well, my son said that my return's on here. Well, then have your son print it out for you because I'm not sticking that in my computer.
God, yep. I don't disagree with that at all. I've had problems we've had malware at our company because the lady, every email she sends me, is this real? Is this real? It looks suspicious. Is this real? And then she's surfing the web and a pop-up appears, call this 800 number, you're infected. And she got malware because she was talking to tech and gave them complete access to her computer. And she tells me, she's like, well, as soon as they had gotten access and they were doing some things, I realized it might not be real. And I unplugged my computer. I'm like, I was a little too late then. So.
Yeah, you
Like-
can't just pull the plug anymore.
No, by that time they already had complete access, things locked down, and worse yet, we're supposed to save everything on our cloud drive for those type of reasons. But she didn't understand and didn't want to ask what the cloud drive was, so she had never done it. So yeah. So
Ah.
all right,
Believe
hey,
me, I understand. I work with like little old ladies, like
Yeah,
really
that's my
old
mother.
ladies.
that's my mother.
Like these are the old ladies who, when they first started filing taxes, it was all done on paper and
Right.
hand.
And there was one form for everybody.
Yep.
So the thing was we were going to talk some more Bigfoot and stuff.
Absolutely.
I'd love to talk some more Bigfoot. I could talk horror all night, but if we're going to do author stuff, let's do Bigfoot.
Okay. No, I'm good with that. So my first question, I saw your books and stuff. Have you been out in the woods and ever done any Bigfoot research yourself?
Well, I was totally into it when I was a kid. My son got totally into it, and all the books that I had became his, so he got his inheritance early. In fact, a little brag, Lauren Coleman, International Cryptozoology Museum, in 2018 at their conference, my son went up and he got honored with Young Cryptozoologist of the Year in 2018.
Oh, awesome.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we've been big into the cryptids. Field research, he hasn't done as much. I haven't really gone out on investigations. I've got some things from our woods that have happened right on my own property. But I haven't seen what I would consider a Bigfoot myself. My son, he does a lot of the research, newspaper.com. He's a librarian now, so he has access to everything he needs.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he just got translated a Hoovelman's book that had only been released in French. He got it translated to English, and he's going to be letting Jonathan Downs at the Fortean Cryptozoology group over in England have access to it. So it's a book by Hoovelmans that's essentially been lost. My son translated it. Not himself. He used AI, but he went through the steps to get it translated into English, something that we'd been missing. So
that is so cool. So.
Yeah, in fact, I just shared a drive over to him tonight. He said he'd push all the files to me as I'm going to vendor events around here to tell people about it, and people want access. Technically, he said it's not out of copyright, but there's disagreement over who owns the copyright. It's not been renewed, and they don't know who actually owns it. So he says until somebody tells us to stop, I'd rather have it available to people. I don't disagree. He's not trying to steal something from anyone that's still alive and taking money, for their copyrighted works. And some of these guys I think would be like fine with things getting out, so we'll see what happens with that.
I agree. It was a whole different world back then as compared to now. I mean,
right.
As far as information sharing. So absolutely more you can learn something from everybody in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's big on the, Sanderson, Hoovelmans, and other guys. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's got a collection of books, that he's researched, read, referenced. And now he works for the Baltimore Library. So he has access to a whole lot of things. And he's even said, I could probably get a few books in here that we don't have. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's hard to get out anymore into the woods and spend time out there. And even when you're out there, you have to spend a considerable amount of time to find a place, research the place, and then I'm trying to think of a good word. Let the situation become aware of you and your surrounding as you're becoming aware of it.
And I'm glad you said it that way. So I was just at the PA Bigfoot camping adventure, and Lyle Blackburn was there, and he did a talk about the Falk monster and how he's been down to that area over the last 20 years, dozens of times. And he just went back down there again. And the talk I do that I've been doing at the, the different events and conferences, it's about getting kids into the field. My son was Young Cryptozoologist of the Year. He did talks. He had a podcast. He did a book. He has a book. And yet he left the whole field because some grumpy old man was screaming at him. It's a researcher. I won't mention his name, but he's like, until you've actually heard of Bigfoot, you don't know anything. And you're just a worthless pup, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. First of all, you're yelling at a 16-year-old kid, back off. Second of all, how do you know you've actually heard of Bigfoot? You can't prove it. But if you say, I have heard of Bigfoot and I know it, that just lessens your integrity as a researcher, as far as I'm concerned. Can you say, I've heard something that I believe is a Bigfoot? I've heard something multiple times that sounds the same as other people have heard that they think is Bigfoot. Yeah, that's great. But to yell at a 16-year-old kid and say, I've heard it and you haven't, so you're worthless. Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
So the talk I do is trying to get kids into the field. We need kids. I mean, we just lost Dr. Meldrum, and that's a huge hit because he was such a big scientist. And I was just at a conference with Stan Gordon, who, I love Stan. I've been friends with Stan for years, but Stan's not young. One of these days we're going to wake up and Stan's going to pass away. Where's the kids taking their place? I talk to people that are my age. I don't talk to the 15-year-olds. So my whole talk is trying to get kids into the field. And that's one of the reasons for the books, trying to get kids interested in cryptozoology, not just, and I caution this, I'm glad you said this. If you go out in the woods, you can't just go out at 10 o'clock for the very first time, set up a camera, pound on a tree a couple times, and you hear a couple wood cracks and you hear a weird noise and say, oh my God, it's Bigfoot, and then go home and never do it again.
I've heard Bigfoot. Yep. He answered me. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I tell them, you gotta go out and camp in the woods, know what the woods smell like, know what they feel like. Well, how's the wind sound in the winter? How does it sound in the summer? What type of plants are here? What type of animals? I mean, I saw a video online. I was laughing at it. I made a comment along with other people where they were filming. They were in the woods, a family, obviously not very wood people. And they were taking a nice picture of a spider with a web. It was gorgeous. It was this huge web and, it was nice, but they heard screaming out in the woods. And they said it sounded like demons ripping people apart, and they got afraid and they ran away. And I'm like, that was a pack of coyotes. No,
say screech owl.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't the only one.
I'm going to tell you, a screech owl landing just above your tent at 3 o'clock in the morning. Holy crap. You will come up out of that tent quick.
But fox too. If you don't know what a fox sounds like, and they're loud, aren't they?
Yes.
But that's the
how
right. They enunciate. They know how to project. But that's the point. You have to know what's out there and how they sound. And people,
I agree.
People are like, oh, we heard footsteps. Okay. Like how far? Well, it must have been 50, 60 feet away. Okay. It's dark. You hear footsteps, but you can determine it was 50 foot away. How do you know? I mean, have you ever gone out in the woods and had somebody 50 feet away stomping so you can get a reference? People take pictures.
You ever taken a tracking class? Even more important question.
Yeah. When I was a Girl Scout leader, I took my girls out tracking to teach them how to track in the snow and in the mud and do plaster castings. That was a fun adventure with my girls. I'll tell you, they were a good group. Someone needs to make a Bigfoot video game. There is one. It's on Steam. I've got it. Where you set up camp, and you can set up cameras, you can set up thermal, you can set up other things to try and try. So I forget the exact name of it, but there is a Bigfoot game. A friend got me for Christmas.
Interesting.
Saw that. So yeah, that's what I encourage people to do. And I tell them, don't go ghost hunting in abandoned houses. Ignore that while you have kids. If you want to be an adult and you want to be stupid and go in an abandoned house, go ahead, but don't take your kids there. Besides, you can see ghosts other places and during the day. You don't have to go at night.
And a lot of cities now offer ghost tours.
Yes, that's what I tell them to go do. Do a ghost tour. Yes, it's not as exciting maybe, but the penitentiary we have down here does ghost tours, and they're pretty spooky.
I had a friend talk me into doing the Knoxville Old City one, and because I'm pseudo from Knoxville, and I was like, this is gonna be fake. It's gonna be a bunch of crap. I don't want to go. And she talked me into it. I spent the $35, whatever it was, and went. And we're going along, and I'm listening to the guy, and he's actually pretty reasonable. He writes a magazine. I subscribe to his magazine now, and he's pretty reasonable, pretty accurate. He knew Knoxville history, which blew me away. And he's talking about all these places. I was the only one getting results. We were going out there, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I have a question for you. You ever done this before?" And I'm like, "Funny story." He's like, "Yeah, I thought so." He says, they're coming to you. They're not going to them. I'm like, "I know. I can't help it. I'm sorry."
Yeah, my ex-wife vibrates at a different frequency and sees things, which maybe I don't 100% always believe it, but she'll say things sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I cannot dismiss this 100%. I've seen weird things with her. I mean, she cannot go out in public without somebody like getting attracted like a magnet. I have literally seen us walking down at the airport. We're just off to the side and like a person coming up, and I've literally seen them shift directions and stop right in front of her and say, I was just having this problem yesterday. It's like, what the hell is going on right now? And so I can't dismiss it because it happens so often. One of our first dates, we went to a used bookstore, and I hear crying, and I look around the corner, and here this old lady is on my, at the time, date shoulder, crying about her husband. And I'm like, what the heck? So I don't dismiss this anymore with her.
No. It goes to psychics too. I've had a lot of them that, about 99.9% of them that I go, I don't know.
Right.
And then very recently had one that made me cry. I mean, like literally new stuff. And I'm like, okay, we need a time out here. Stop talking. So, yeah.
That's what Harry Houdini did.
Yeah.
He tried to debunk all the spiritualists of the time.
Yep.
And he did a good job of it.
Some of it's easy. Some of them are very easy, but this one rattled my world. So
my son is much more skeptical than I am, and much more skeptical than he used to be. And we get into debates about it. And we definitely have opposing views on this. My whole thing is that there are things we don't know that we don't know. And there are new things they've discovered, just in recent years. So, 1900, they said, we know everything there is to know about the natural world and physics. And within 40 years, we had the atomic bomb, which they didn't even know about. So, if that's in less than 50 years, they knew everything and found out they didn't. What can we learn in the next 50, 100, 300 years?
He likes me more than you, Glenn.
I was just watching an astrophysicist last night on a YouTube channel, and he was basically breaking down in front of the camera. He's like, I thought we understood things, and now 31I comes along, or 3I Atlas comes along, and he goes, we don't know nothing.
Yeah.
He goes, this has just changed my life. And he's probably in his late 30s or so. He says, this has changed my life, everything I've been taught. And he goes, I don't understand.
The things they keep finding out with the quantum realm. I mean, it sounds like the Marvel movies, but the quantum realm, they just did a study. They found that in that small of a realm, the particles don't exhibit certain things until observed. And what they did, they split a particle and sent one like ahead, and then they measured it, and the one left behind, its properties matched what that one was like in the past type thing. So it's like they were I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't understand it all, but they were essentially saying that the atom in the future was affecting this one in the past.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to go read this more in depth, because that was a little, just from the little synopsis, I'm like, I'm not getting what this is, obviously.
Well, there was one I was just reading about, a quantum computer. That's the new big thing. And apparently this is one, it's probably some top secret mojo stuff the government uses, but it operates so fast with such accuracy that scientists are questioning if it's even operating in this dimension.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? We built it. It's here. And so, you're right. And we don't know what we don't know. And with, like, for instance, a comet, everything is being changed. Everything.
Yeah. That comet, I mean, it could, I think it's some distant star exploded a million years ago, and it's just a chunk of the closest planet that got ejected, and it's just big enough and traveling fast enough that it's not getting affected by gravity like they would think it would.
But it changed speeds. Nice.
Oh, that I hadn't heard.
Yes, it went from like 155,000 whatever miles an hour, I guess, to like 135. It slowed down, and they were like, "Oh, it's gravity," and then it sped up.
Wow.
They were like, and it changed from burning green to red to yellow, and they're like, they don't do that.
Wow. And that's the great thing, actually, is I hear these things, and it's like, we don't understand it. Now, could it still be something completely natural? Could it be? Yeah, absolutely. Could it just be something but we don't understand.
You don't understand, yeah.
And that's my whole point. And I'm going to pull up the book cover. So if you see the book cover with Bigfoot, I've changed it a bit already. It's got like a glowing portal behind it now. The picture I sent you had that.
Yes.
Because I don't know if you guys know Stan Gordon, know that name. He Pennsylvania, he does a lot on the Chestnut Ridge. He's had a hotline since 1966 or something like that. So he's gotten Bigfoot reports for literally 50 some years, 60 years. And he started seeing correlations between, we got this wave of UFO reports, and then overlapping that, a wave of Bigfoot reports. Now, does that mean Bigfoot's coming from a UFO? No, it doesn't. But when you could point out to 20 some different times, when over a 3-4 day period in one area, you got, a dozen UFO reports and then a dozen Bigfoot reports, it starts to look like they might be connected in some way. And then the flashes of light now, that they, not just now, but they've gotten flashes of lights reported with Bigfoot's disappearing in a flashlight. Hey, there it is with that's it. That's the newer version of the cover. So does that mean he's a quantum traveler traveling through a wormhole from another? No, it doesn't mean that. But based on our physics and knowledge of quantum mechanics and all that, it's a possibility. And it's not just, that's stupid. I mean, NASA scientists have proven there are other universes that they can detect. So, we're talking quantum mania here with Marvel's. It's real. And people are like, well, how come we haven't seen people? But yeah, just because they can detect it, we can't look into it. We can't do anything. We know it's there. That's it.
I could argue that one. I lost 2 teammates. They didn't get lost in the portal. They stumbled upon one, and they disappeared off Fleer and oh God, what's the multicolor? Fleer, and then what's the other one? So I don't do the camera stuff. I do all the audio stuff. It's the one that sees all colors at once and display. It's a computer, basically.
Okay, right.
In the middle of a field, they disappeared into a portal. They came back out, and I was on comms. I was the safety officer at base camp. I was on comms. They couldn't be reached. It was the weirdest thing. Now, what I can't prove this. We can't prove this as a team. But one of them died shortly thereafter of prostate cancer. And the other one had a severe anaphylaxia to something he takes all the time, had taken all the time. And there was nothing that they could do when they were
Wow.
right on top of him.
And I've heard
he was
multiple,
probably the most in shape person in our team. So, but go ahead. Sorry.
I've heard multiple stories of things like that. And you're right. You necessarily can't prove it because right now, a scientist would have to be at the right spot when this portal opens to be able to do any detecting, you know, which is funny because I actually write about that in the book. The one character, Sierra, she's the tech genius, and she takes all the reports she gets and pinpoints, and it basically forms a Fibonacci spiral so she can determine where the next portal's opening, and they go there with their equipment to try and capture the Bigfoot. And that's what the happens in the book. I try and think of it a little bit like Michael Crichton. Here's science facts, but I'm going to make them fictional because we can't really do it all that, like the amber with the dinosaurs. At the time, it was a theoretical thing. They've done it now, and it doesn't actually work. But at the time, it was a theory thing. I've tried to do that with some of the quantum stuff in this book with Bigfoot appearing, disappearing, and not answering the question, does he exist or not? Keep it nebulous.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, because even if you have a encounter, you touch one, you come and tell everybody, nobody's going to believe you. So,
right.
And that's one of the things I've told guests on my show and my audience. I know what I've seen in the field. I don't have to prove anything to you. If you want to know, you need to go out there and put your butt in the chair and do the homework and get the crap scared out of you some. So,
right.
Yeah.
Didn't you actually have a Bigfoot kind of follow you home?
I wouldn't say followed me home, but I would say that they're attracted to you similar, I think, to the spiritual stuff. Once you're tuned into them, it's like they know, so to speak, if that makes sense. I don't know if we got a glowing red light or something above our head. And I don't live in the city. I live on the outskirts of a city. I've had weird shit happen here at the house. I mean, I come in at 3:00 in the morning. It was a flight paramedic. Nobody out. Cold as butt. And I get hit in the back of the head with a pine cone going vertical. And I didn't even turn around because I was like, look, I'm tired. Leave me alone. I'm at home. And then the next morning, I had a feather and an oak leaf right on the front door of the welcome sign. Can I say that was a Bigfoot? No. Can I say that it was weird? Hell yeah.
It's enough to keep you not just wondering, but like, okay, there is something. Can you say what it is? Not necessarily, but there's something. Maybe there's a race of very intelligent squirrels and that left that for you. But that's not been the possibility. Well, but it again, it's not as my son loves to say about things. I'm like, Bigfoot existing is a non-zero chance. There's a bit more of a chance than just absolutely zero. And he says, no, they just don't exist. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. I believe there's some, okay, maybe it is from another dimension, another realm. Maybe we're just seeing the part that we can see within our realm, our light frequencies or our brains. We know that our brains filter things all the time. Mm-hmm. And maybe just the way our brains work, it's not able to see the way their shapes are. And I don't know, you probably watch some of those videos online, people saying, oh my God, this is a ghost. Oh my God, this is this. And most of them are such crap. It's hilarious. But the ones that
AI now, oh my God.
Yeah. And that's the problem. I tell people that flat out. I'm like, look, if you want to get into this field, you want to go out in the field, do so, but you'll never take a picture or a video that people will believe. That's going to be the problem. I always tell them, don't just set up one camera, set up like 5, put them at different angles and different heights, because then if you capture the same thing, it's harder to fake and it's much more believable.
And my husband was like, okay, so for my other show, he was like, next Halloween, because there's a lot of haunted here in Ohio.
Yes.
A lot of haunted. So next Halloween, he wants us to go out with a group of people and live stream from one of the haunted locations all night on Halloween.
Be careful what you wish for.
And I was like, if you're going to be there going with me, then we'll go. He's like, yeah, you got friends who'll go too. I'm like, yeah, I got friends who'll go.
The problem with that world, the spirit world, is if you don't know how to close the door or have somebody that knows how to close the door, you can invite things in that won't go away or they
Yes.
won't go away easily. I don't like to play in that world, but once again, if you're out in the woods, you will still run into that. And somebody's like, well, why? There's nobody here. I'm like, how do I know there wasn't somebody here 200 years ago? I don't know that.
Right.
Prove me wrong.
Exactly.
I could be standing over a cemetery and we don't even know that,
Right.
Whole civilizations have just disappeared and we don't know where the hell they went. So
yeah. The Anasazi. I mean, that's, obviously the one that, you always love to talk about. I read Louis L'Amour's last book and it dealt with the Anasazi and other worlds. He actually, here's this Western writer. He's writing about going to another dimension through a portal. And I
did not know this.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
it's something Mesa. It's Louis L'Amour. It's his last book. It's called something or other Mesa. I read it, but it didn't have as much. It was a long book that probably could have been cut in half. It droned on a little bit too long, but it was another dimension. They traveled through and talked about the Anasazi, and the people of the area knew about this, and they never went to this canyon and things. So I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think back then, didn't they get paid by the word? So, I mean, but
maybe, but at that, by that time, I don't think Louis L'Amour was too worried about how much he was getting paid.
Probably not. Chris, you're absolutely right. I think intelligent squirrels that could attack us would be much more of a problem. So, especially in the big cities like New York.
I had a friend that wrote a book about a squirrel apocalypse that they all went crazy and started attacking people. Yeah.
Oh
my
God.
daughter used to have a
fear on the show.
She used to have a fear of squirrels because we had this one. Well, she swears it was the same squirrel who used to come running every time she'd go outside, and it was following her, and she thought it was stalking her. So she was afraid of squirrels because of it.
Wow. I've heard of wild animals like, kind of imprinting themselves on somebody and always wanting to be around them. And whenever they see them, they come up to them. I've heard stories of that before.
Yeah. People in the East Tennessee hills talk about that with bears. That scares the hell out of me, but they said,
hey, here in Parma, we get deer that walk up to our front door, like walk up to the front door.
Wow. Explain to me how deer got on Key West. Sorry.
They snuck on board a ship. They climbed up the rope like a rat.
Pirates.
Pirate deer.
I like the sounds of this. I can make a story out of this. But yeah.
Somebody took someone there and thought it'd be a good pet.
Could be. Well, there's been alligators here recently as far north as Michigan. They didn't just
found out that the deer wasn't that good of a pet.
And that's something I tell the kids and parents, that I have to define what cryptid means when I talk, because they don't know what cryptid is or cryptozoology. They just know Bigfoot or maybe Mothman and Chupacabra or something, Loch Ness. And I tell them that there is a group of orangutans in Florida that escaped, and they're considered cryptid because they're not where they're supposed to be. And I keep segueing. I'm not honestly doing this just to talk about my stuff, but that's what this book is about. It's the same Oddish Quester group. It's a picture book I did with the main character, Connor, based on my son, looking for reports of a black leopard in the hills of Ohio, because there's not.
My son would love that book.
They don't exist. Just ask DNR. They don't exist.
Exactly.
Stop at that Florida line. It's the most miraculous thing.
Right. But that's why I wrote it, because it used a real animal, but it explained the concept of what a cryptid is and how that would be a cryptid because it's not supposed to exist here. And I turned it into a picture book for kids with the same group.
A cat in the woods scares me probably more than a Bigfoot, to be perfectly honest. So
yeah, because there are some, but most Bigfoot reports are, they don't do anything. They seem curious and they disappear in a flash of light, or they're just so far off and they just wander away.
Yep.
Cats, they're silent and they will stalk you and you are dead.
Yeah, I woke up after camping one night, and I can't say anything weird happened, but I went out and there was a cat print on a mud spot right beside my tent. That was like that big. That's probably not a big cat, but it was big enough for me to go, I'm done.
You know, in Oklahoma, we lived in this trailer, like by this big field where it was just fields and trees and everything like that. So during the wintertime, we got a little bit of snow, and there was a paw print that was this big, if not a little bit bigger, right by my trailer. They were walking around my trailer. I'm like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Well, I tell people here in Atlanta, I'm just outside of Metro Atlanta now, and we're at the foothills of the Appalachia, and it's not that far away. It's right there. You know, we're going into their space more and more. So for them to come towards us, it's not impossible, except for the cats that stop at the state line. So, but and funny story. I got a funny story about that. I vape, and when I was at my mom's up in East Tennessee, I would go outside and vape. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was cold. I went outside and I was vaping, and I thought I saw a deer, and I looked over, I'm like, oh, deer. And I looked at the deer, had a curly tail. It was a cat, and it turned and looked at me about the size of a deer and just stepped silently back in the wood line. I do not go outside now at mom's at night. But we had some weird noises, and you talk about getting to know your woods. And we couldn't figure out this noise. And it was not always, but it was pretty consistent with sometime just after dark, sometime midnight, maybe towards mid-morning, but it was a pretty accurate time. And so I'm racking my brain. I'm like, okay, it can't be Bigfoot. I've never heard this. And so I'm going through, and I finally stumbled upon a page that had baby mountain lions and how they communicate with their mom. I had never heard this. I played this. I'm like, Mom, is this what we're hearing? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, don't go out at night anymore. Don't let the dog out.
Yeah. Mama with babies. Yeah. You don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
We get coyotes here and bobcats and
coyote will scare you in the night. So will fox.
Yeah.
Well, no, here, like in the suburbs over by the big shopping centers, there's packs of coyotes that roam around.
Yeah. We've got a lot of them out here. I hear them at night.
Yeah, we do. We do here, even in I'm not Metro Atlanta. I'm East Atlanta. I was gonna say we were out in the woods one night, and we were just doing a short little night hike, and we were all sitting and we were all facing each other. We didn't have the lights on or anything. That way we could see each other's back if something. We're more worried about a cat or a different two-legged creature, man. And so we're sitting there talking. We start hearing this god awful. Something's running through the woods. And so we all just stop and we're listening. And it's getting closer. It's getting close. It's coming right at us. And we're sitting there. And we're like, what the hell is this? And finally, it literally comes in between us. It's a goddamn armadillo. And I'd never seen an armadillo before in my life.
I grew up in the South where there's armadillos everywhere.
Oh, well, we didn't have them in Northern Virginia or East Tennessee. I think they're finally migrating that far. And my buddy Daryl, he reached down and he slapped it on its back because apparently they're blind. And they let out a scream like a girl and took off running. I was like, what the hell was that? That's a big roly-poly bug.
Yeah.
So just because you think you know what you're hearing and what it actually... A creature that big sounded like I heard a deer running through the woods.
And we've said it that you got to get to know the area. You got to get to know what it sounds like. You can't just go out once or twice. You got to really go out camping, take a tent, go out in the woods.
And you do, you got to learn it. And now that I've become more familiar with sounds, I can't say I could hear a bobcat. Hey, I was reading Wendell's comment. Armadillo coming, but I'm not as scared as I was because I didn't know what it was before. So yeah, you got to.
Right.
And one of the guys that I went out with, he was probably, I should say, my mentor. he had been doing it all of his life. Even on the West Coast, he was a search and rescue police officer with, I think it was Cal Fire. They drop him and his dog in the woods to go find missing people. And while he was looking for the missing person, he was looking for Bigfoot. And so I learned so much from him. And he would always tell us, he's like, just go to the woods, hang out. By day 3, you're their cable TV. They're going to come check you out. If they're here, they're going to be like, what the hell are these stupid people doing in my woods? Well, let's go watch them. And
well, see, that's my
it's so
theory on aliens. Like, they're watching us, laughing at us. Like, you know how on The Simpsons they're up in the ship watching
Yes.
them like it's TV. That's my theory. That's what they do. They watch us like we're the TV show.
I just talked to a guy over the weekend at the Dairy Railroad Days that said he's lived on his land for 50, 60 years. It's a farm. He's retired, but still has some of the farm stuff. And he says there's some Bigfoot in the woods and he sees them. He says he sees them quite frequently and they're not afraid to come out by them and stuff. Now, of course, I haven't seen it. He hasn't taken pictures or anything. So could he just be a yarn or what? Yeah. I always know that's a possibility because you always get somebody that says, oh, that can't be real. Did he show you a picture? Yeah, I understand that. But I'm going to go on the assumption, at least for now, that the man's telling the truth. I know Stan and Eric Altman, a few other guys have been out to the farm and heard the noises. They're like, yeah, I don't know what that is. They've seen footprints. They haven't actually caught one yet. So they were just working with the guy. The guy still has an old flip phone. So, to take a picture, I understand may be difficult, even with an old camera and stuff. But, that's what he said. He's like, I'm like their entertainment. They'll just be on the edge of the woods watching what I'm doing and stuff. So yeah, if they feel comfortable, like you said, you're part of the woods. If you go in, you have your radio and you have all your electronics and the lights and everything, you're not going to catch anything. You need to have a tent with minimal equipment.
See, that's the problem with people nowadays. They're scared of the unknown. If people would open their mind up more to the unknown, they'd most likely see and experience more than what they don't believe is there. Like me and my husband, we're real sensitive to the spirits, and we could tell when there's spirits there, and they're around all the time.
That's what my ex-wife always said. She saw people almost constantly. She worked at a hospital, and multiple times she said people would be
upstairs walking between my kids' bedrooms. We see them all the time. We know they're here, and we're real sensitive to that. But that's because we're open to the unknown. Right. I'd never had that. Like most kids, when you're young, you get told that that's not true. That's not real. Don't believe it. Well, see, I didn't have that. My grandparents always told me there's things out there that you don't know about. Be open to it. And that's what I've told my kids. My kids know that my grandfather walks this house all the time to check on them. My grandma walks this house, and we know it. I've seen them. My husband's aunt and his grandmother walk our house. We know it. We know they're here. And there's a few other spirits here. Like in my wedding picture in my grandparents' old house, in the window, there was nobody in the kitchen. But in the back door, you could see 2 faces in the window. One of an older woman and one of a little boy. And there was nobody in the kitchen. There's no reflection from anybody because we weren't anywhere near that. When you zoom in like this, you could see the faces. And my husband's like, they just wanted to say hello. They're here to celebrate us.
The story that convinced me that there's more than we know or suspect, and to keep an open mind. My second marriage, she had 4 kids. I had 2. So a big family. We're all gathered around one night, just chatting, talking. And the kids were from early 20s down to early teens type thing. And we're all telling stories about weird things. And I've got some stories about the house, I could tell and all that. But we're all just, story after story, chatting and talking and stuff. And then my mother speaks up and says, well, I saw something. We're all like, really? And now this started to intrigue everybody because my mother, you would never believe my mother believing in ghosts, believing in Bigfoot. My mother also, you would never believe that she would lie about anything. There are times when it's like, Nanny, it's a little white lie. You can lie about that. It's okay. Yes, tell them we're busy. They can't come over Saturday. Okay, you didn't want to lie about it, so now they're coming over Saturday. She can't even lie, little things like that. So she says, oh yeah, when my grandfather, talking as her, when my grandfather died, she said, I was coming down to go to work one day, and she got up at like 4 a.m. because she was a nurse. And she said she stepped down the steps and saw movement and looked, and over where my dad's workshop was, he did upholstery work. What she said, I saw my grandfather. He was standing there in his bib overalls that he wore, looking down at the chair that Dave, my father, had been working on. And then he looked up at her and smiled, and then poof, disappeared. It was dead silent in that room because there wasn't a single person that would say, oh, that's not true. I guarantee we all had shivers up and down our back, and we all stopped talking about it because everybody's like, oh shit, if Nanny's saying stories, that's got to be real,
Well, see, that's kind of like, that's how I knew my grandfather had passed away, because of the fact that the night before, because they had him in a drug-induced coma because he had brain cancer from the Asian orange. And when it came time, they had hospice out, and I knew, like, I had just worked graveyard shift, and I was putting my youngest son, who was still a newborn, well, he was still really, really little, and I was putting him to bed because he was sick. And in the corner of my son's bedroom, my grandfather was standing there, and he was waving goodbye. And not long after that, my mother called me and told me he had passed.
Oh, wow.
And there have been so many stories like that you'll get people say, oh, it's just mass hysteria or imaginings, or you remember wrong or what. But it's like, these stories have gone back not only in our culture, but other cultures, other countries. You get the same type of stories going back hundreds of years. The Native Americans, their depictions of the hairy man, the wild man of the woods. They're talking about the giant creatures that are 8 foot tall that they trade with. It's just accepted by them. And people read this like, oh, that's not what they really meant. And it's like, sometimes people might need to open their minds up a little bit to this. Because if my mother is seeing a ghost and Native Americans are writing about Bigfoot, you will never convince me that there's not something out there, that there's not something else. No, you cannot convince me otherwise. Can I say that it's 100% because I've seen it? No, but there's something.
Even if you had seen it, there's still people.
There's always people who's going to be naysayers to everything.
Oh, yeah. When I first started researching, I was a pro, they call it the pro kill group. I was like, we got to have one to prove this is science. And my buddy, who had done this for many years, he said, no. He said, because let me tell you, he goes, let's just say you harvest a young male one. He goes, well, they're going to want to know, well, how does it reproduce? So now we need a female. Well, now we need a baby to see how they grow. Now we need an ellie. He says, and it won't stop. He said, so their science is not going to 100% authenticate to verify it until they can verify from the cells to death. And he said, you're never going to do that.
And
I was like, that makes sense. I agree now.
And if it really is some other dimension, they're somehow traveling between dimensions, even shooting it. I mean, I've heard stories. Stan Gordon has stories that it's right in front of him. I have shot my whole life. I know I hit this 9 foot tall linebacker, and there's a flash of light and it disappeared. And there's multiple stories of people reporting that. Oh, well, then they know each other. No, these are like from 1960, 1990s, and 2015s, people that didn't know each other from different cities. You know, same type of story over and over. So, that's what maybe why we don't have one. They maybe we have shot them and killed some and we don't know it. They just, get zipped back to the other dimension.
And you've heard, well, you've probably heard the stories of, let's say they do wing one. Well, they have to de-ass the woods because they're made living hell until they leave the woods. I've heard
Right.
that too. So it's like,
Yeah.
and if you do have an experience, you will learn they are usually not by themselves. There's at least two. It's the weirdest thing.
It's like the Sith. There's always the rule of two.
Exactly. And one of the craziest experience I ever had was I had whatever it was quartered down with the floodlight on the other side of a bush. It was literally right there. I should have been smart enough to go through the bush. And this thing mimicked every bird I have ever heard in my entire life, at the top of its lungs, to the point it was vibrating the air where I was, whatever it was. Because I was like, okay, this could be. I'm rattling in my head what it could be. I'm going through all these things, and the guy that was behind me that was freaking out, losing his mind, whereas I'm debating I really should have went through that bush. He hears this crack. And it says, "Oh," and I turned for just a second, and it sounds like a buffalo running through the woods. And I'm like, "Oh!" But what was it? I don't know. Did it scare me? Yeah. Should I have went through the bush? Probably not, but I really wanted to.
Yeah, that's what my ex always said. If we go on an investigation sometime, don't just run at it when you see something. It could, she's like, I'm like, well, I didn't say I do that. She's like, I know you. That's what you do. Yes, Chris, I agree with you. Master or apprentice, you're not sure.
Yes.
So you asked if I'd been on an
Sure.
investigation and stuff. Our house is haunted. I've had
Okay.
some ghost experiences here at the house. And ones that are like, so I acquired my parents' house. When I was a kid, you could hear footsteps in the hallway at times. And I think you mentioned that earlier tonight too. So then later when I had kids, I had never said that to them. And one day they were complaining to me about keeping them up by stomping in the hallway all night. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. Another time I was out in front of the garage. So we had the garage door open and there's a door leading inside, and it had a big spring on it because my father hated us kids leaving the door open. So he put the most god awful spring on it that
I know the spring. I've been slapped by it.
It would slam shut. You open it and bam, bam, So I'm out shooting hoops in front of the garage, and my Labrador is laying in the garage because it's cooler. It's summertime. And I hear the screen door slam. Not a big deal. My father's coming out to go back up to the garden. Well, my lab jumps up and starts growling and backs up into me and is pushing on me, which that's impressive by itself because it was one of the dumbest dogs I'd ever known in my life. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing? And then I realized there's no way my father just came out of the house because he never went past me to go into the house. I went running up to the garden screaming, So that's the ghost experiences we've had around here. But so we've got about 4.5 acres here, and the upper acre is woods, and it's connected to woods around us with other neighbors and going off into other areas and that. So I've got about 1 acre of woods, which is nice. I've got a small cabin up there. It's not a huge amount, but it's a nice little area. 2017, my son comes and says, Hey, Dad, come up to the woods. You got to see this. Okay. So we go walking up to the woods, and there was a structure built out of intertwined branches in the woods. And I'm like, okay, I always tell people, you got to know the area. Well, I'm up in this area several times a week. Never saw this before. So it's not like it'd been there for years or something. I just didn't notice it. But it's interwoven branches. Not only that, there's several of them that are glued together, and we still don't know what the material is that glued it. It wasn't pitch. It wasn't mud. And it was much stronger than mud. But it definitely wasn't pine sap. And multiple of them were glued together very strong. We could wiggle it. It wasn't a big shelter like I've seen pictures of. So it wasn't something like you go build to sleep under or anything. It was a smaller, couple foot high type structure. Okay. Everybody's first comment is, it's your neighbors. All right. Let me explain who my neighbors are. I've known my neighbors my whole life. They're farmers. Okay. They're not that imaginative or creative. So they're not going to trespass on my property to play a practical joke. It's just not happening. Okay. It's homeless people wandering around. I live 10 minutes away from the local grocery store. So there's not homeless people wandering 8 miles to get to my woods and build a little structure in my woods. So
methods usually aren't that advanced. So.
No. So I'm dismissing both of those. Are they completely zero? No, it's not a completely zero possibility, but I'm not even going to entertain that. The Cleveland Guardians are as likely to come down and build these structures in my woods as my neighbors. Okay.
Win a World Series.
Theoretically, it's possible they could. Okay. But
I'm about to be close to the Brown Stadium. So
maybe if they lower it 50 feet, the FAA stopped them because it was 50 feet too high.
And they've taken all the unclaimed money from Ohio people that haven't been claimed
and put it into that, really?
And put it to build this.
Well, I better get a free game out of it or something. So I thought, okay, there's this weird structure. But since 2017, we've gotten 2 or 3 a year somewhere in our woods showing up. And that's the really weird part. If it was my neighbors, are they really going to spend 8 years for this practical joke? I mean, do you really? But what is it? I don't know. And they're not all the same. When I was cleaning up there after my father passed away, he had a lot of garbage and junk. He had like this big garbage pile, and I was just burning a lot of it up because it was old wood and stuff like that. And I didn't get to finish it all in one day. The next day I went back up, and there was a little teepee structure right there by where I was burning everything. And I'm like, is this telling me to stay away, to stop? I don't know. Nothing happened. I continued cleaning. But the part that really freaked me out was just last year, I went to the pizza place. So our grocery store is a 10-minute drive, but the pizza place is a half mile away. So we've got that. But I was getting pizza, and there was a guy with a pickup truck, and he had all these Bigfoot vinyls and stuff all over. He had the Jack Link Bigfoot on his side, looking on the tailgate and stuff. And I'm like, hey man, that's a nice truck. I like Bigfoot and stuff. He's like, oh yeah. I'm always into Bigfoot. I keep trying to see it. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. He's like, I haven't seen him, but I do find all these weird structures in my woods. And I'm like, really? And he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, well, where do you live? He's like, oh, I live over on Porter. He lives a quarter of a mile away from me in the woods, and he keeps finding the same type of structures I do. I did not mention it. I did not prompt it. He just mentioned it while we were talking. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to believe anything, unless he's the one coming onto my property. And, I just can't believe
He's been stalking you at the pizza place, and finally he gets to
Yes. Yeah. So that's the weird stuff that we get. And I don't even have to leave my property to get that.
Sometimes you don't. When I lived in Tennessee,
yeah,
I go camping. I got
Chris,
behind me.
That's the first time the Browns have beat the Packers since 2005.
Oh, really?
How the hell did you know that?
My husband's a diehard Browns fan.
Okay.
Harley, check this out. My son lived here, Browns territory, but he moved to Baltimore. And I said, I need to get you a lot of Browns stuff to wear out there. But he is not a sports guy at all. And he said, you know what? The Browns people get real concerned about the fact that the Ravens used to be the Browns. But most people around here don't even think about it. And most people don't even know that they used to be the Browns.
Believe me, my husband still goes on about that.
Yeah, I know several people that have gone out there and taken pictures in Browns stuff by the stadium.
I lived in DC when they moved the Baltimore. What the hell were they? The Colts? Was it the Colts? It was the Colts, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
They moved out in the middle of the night. I remember that as a kid. It was on the news the next day. Well, we don't have a team in Baltimore anymore. Like, what? Where'd it go?
Right.
He just moved. So yeah. So, well, okay. I got to ask this because I know Chris is going to want to. You brought up pizza. You didn't bring up pizza. Don't know where that came from. Deep dish, thin crust.
Depends on the day.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I
I
like
didn't want to
deep
upset
dish. Well,
Chris.
actually, I like Chicago crust.
I was just in Chicago. It was a weird experience, and we didn't actually get Chicago pizza. We had Chicago dogs, but we didn't get any pizza.
I love Chicago dogs, but I like the big, thick crust.
Yep.
On the outside of the pizza. I don't like there's a pizza place here called Antonio's, and it's a big popular pizza place because like Drew Carey lives by this pizza place. And it started out as like a mom and pa shop. And so they used to ship their frozen pizzas to Drew Carey.
That's hilarious.
And so I don't like their deep dish because they put like the toppings in the inside and then put a layer of sauce.
Oh, yeah, that
on
makes
the
it more
top
like
of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no.
that's too much sauce. I like the thick crust
Gotta have
where
it
the
crunch.
toppings are in it. Yes, exactly. The crunch on the outside where the cheese is on
Right.
the top of the crust, and it's a thick crust.
Yeah, I
Well-
don't want to eat a tomato soup sandwich. So
Yeah, it's
Well-
like they put all the toppings in it, then they put this layer of crust on it, and then they put a layer of sauce on the top of it, and I'm like,
What really sucks is the local pizza place. Obviously, I've gotten pizza there most of my life, and whatever they've done recently, they've changed. And me and my son got it a couple times. We're like, this really sucks, and I haven't gotten it for about 2.5 years now. Of course, they opened the Romeo's in Ritztown, which I had Romeo's before, but this one tastes like they had like a whole cup of sugar to the sauce, and it's like way too sweet. So it's hard to find good pizza sometimes.
I mean, Papa John's used
Live
to
in
be
Atlanta.
really good, but now it's like not so good.
when
There
I used
was-
to be confused when I was on the ambulance, we ate out all the time. And I'd go into a Chinese restaurant and it was all Latinos working there. I'd go to a Mexican restaurant, it was all Asians. I'm like so confused.
Me and my buddy, we make cryptid homemade soaps. We sell them cryptid shapes and stuff. But we going out to one of the shows, we always try and stop at a Dunkin' Donuts, and like one had the broken to make the donuts. One didn't have electricity. One was just opening, and we'd have to wait a while. We're like, oh my god, we can't get Dunkin's at this time. So we found one. We stopped at, but everybody in there sounded like, I know this. They sound like Abu from The Simpsons, and we were like, I think this used to be a convenience store, and it's now a Dunkin's, because they had no idea any of the donuts, and they were like,
I used to work at this Dunkin' here in Parma. And I know that's the owners that own that restaurant is like that.
Might have been the same
And
one.
They were telling us about how, okay, this is going to be very gross. I will not ever eat food from this Dunkin' ever.
I hope
ever,
it wasn't
ever
the same
again.
one.
Because of the fact that they told me this. Well, they don't use toilet paper.
What?
Oh yeah, some countries, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They use their hand.
Yeah.
Well,
And
save
then
money.
they wash their hands really good.
Thank God for gloves.
Well, some of them
Maybe.
didn't wear gloves, and I'm like,
Yeah.
after they told me this, and he put some chocolate on the counter and then used the water to wipe it off, and it still had the residue, and he was like, isn't it cleaner? And I'm like,
No.
Wow.
Well,
so
being a
after
paramedic
finding that out, I
firefighter
will
will ruin you.
never buy anything from that Dunkin' again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Oh yeah, and being a paramedic firefighter and getting behind the scenes of some of these places, running calls and seeing things, everything's been ruined for me. So-
I bet. Well, when my friends and I, when we were all the same age and started having kids, the first one of us that had a kid, we were at a Braveheart party where we were, doing all the Braveheart games and roasting a pig. And but the youngest, Dylan, was crawling on the grass. And there were like other people like, oh my God, he's on the grass. That's unhealthy. It's not. And my friend Reese is like, are you kidding me? He's building up immunities. He's probably going to be the healthiest of all of us. And I remember that because like a couple years later, my nieces, we were at a wedding. They were in their pink dresses, part of the wedding party. And afterwards, me and their dad were out talking and they were jumping in mud puddles. And all the parents were like, oh, you're dirtying up their dress. And Tina's going to be so mad. And I can't believe you guys just let them do it. And then mom came out and looked at the girls and said, are they okay? Dad said, yeah, they're fine. She went, okay, walked back in. And everybody's like, you get used to certain things.
But when we were growing up, we played outside in the dirt, in the mud. Yeah. And that's why kids nowadays are really sick because of how society is. You can't send them outside because of the fact that someone in a big white kidnapper van is going to come and snatch them.
You know what? I heard that, and this was from a show, but also said by real like investigators and stuff, that the worst thing that our country ever did for kids, as far as kidnappings or whatever go, was stranger danger. We taught them that strangers are to be feared and dangerous, whereas something like 86% of all kidnappings are friends or family that the kid knows. And so it was, again, we talked about education earlier. Are we necessarily teaching our kids correctly for the right things they need to know?
Well, that's like in Cleveland, that woman who was kidnapped walking somewhere.
When she was 14, right?
And she was locked in the basement and then got pregnant, and he kidnapped someone else and locked her in that basement.
She was on the news for a while. I mean, she did a missing report on the news for a while.
She still does that.
Oh, she still does it? Oh, good.
Yeah. But she had a child in that basement and everything.
Yeah.
And her family was like, we didn't know you were this close.
Yeah. It was like just a block or so away or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my friends that work for 3-letter agencies, they tell me horror stories, but they say that pretty much after 48 hours, you're not going to find them. If they're still here, they're well enough hidden, but there's a very large percentage is out of the country within 48 hours. And that scares the hell out of me, Yeah, and I mean, I know some of these guys who have done some stuff to rescue kids and stuff, and it's just crazy. I mean, I could literally, if they would ever come out and do a show, I could terrify people with some of the stories I've heard.
Honestly,
it makes it hard to want to let your kids go and roam like we did.
It does, and which is a shame. But I'll tell you, I don't know if I would have survived if that happened to one of my kids.
Right? Because I know when I was growing up, the rule was when the street lights come on, you come home. Mm-hmm. We can't do that now because someone's going to come up with that van. And
my kids, they grew up same house I did, essentially. So we have 4 acres going back. So they're not down by the road. We don't have sidewalks. Nobody's walking between here and that very often anyway. So they ran around outside. They played all the time. But we also, like I said, my farmer neighbors, I was never worried if my farmer neighbors saw a stranger walking across the land. They all had shotguns, they would. So my kids grew up still running around outside. One of the best stories I remember of my son, I was doing dishes one day and he comes walking in the house, kind of like Calvin, very quiet. He goes walking back out and he's got his Indiana Jones hat on and the Indiana Jones whip I had got him for Christmas. And I'm looking out the window and watching him. And he goes up to the little Ford Ranger we had and he's by the bumper and he's messing around and he's tying the whip onto the bumper and he stretches it out. Then he lays on the ground and grabs it and he starts rolling around like Indiana Jones being drugged by the truck in the movie. And that was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm raising my kids right. And my daughter, so this ties into all the Bigfoot stuff. In the snow once, it snowed like 6 inches overnight. So me and the kids were outside and I said, hey, let's go hunt Yetis. They are in the snow. So we all had sticks and we're walking around looking for Yetis in the snow. And we have these boulders in a ring around our fire pit and it was all covered with snow. And I'm like, oh, look over there, those lumps. maybe that's Yetis sleeping under there. My daughter goes, Daddy, that's not Yetis. Yetis snore. So I think I raised my kids right just from those two examples.
Absolutely.
My middle son is obsessed with like maps and U.S. countries and world national anthems. That's like his playlist is
Wow.
national anthems of the world, and he wants to take.
He sounds a little autistic.
He's got Asperger's syndrome, which is it's autism.
Yeah.
And so he plays these games where you take over the world. And
Nice.
so he wants to have total domination of the world. And I'm like,
so have you played Pinky and the Brain cartoons for him yet? Oop, lost her.
Well, you did it now.
I scared her away.
You did. Pink in the Brain. Those are great. Well, let me ask you this before because I don't want to keep you too long. We promised you only an hour, and now we've.
I appreciate it. It's been a great talk. It's been.
Oh my
fun.
gosh, it has been. It really has been. So what's one of your scariest stories? Whether it's in the woods, a ghost, or it could be a screech owl attacking you in the middle of the night.
Well, I grew up in scouts going out camping a lot. So, I mean, we were camping 13, 14 times a year. And there were a couple times we had a blizzard come in, and that was a little scary. And not from the supernatural way. But we all got a badge out of it, our polar bear badge. So that was great.
Cool.
But I never really had anything in the woods that I got too afraid of. We had a mountain lion go through our camp once. We opened the tent flap and it's sitting there looking at us. We closed the tent flap.
How did it get out of Florida?
Exactly. We did have a bear go through a joining campsite, not ours, because they were stupid. They didn't put their food. They didn't put stuff up in a bear bag. They didn't wash dishes. They just stuck it all back in their thing, and the bears started rampaging through everything.
Bears do what bears do.
Yeah. But the story I told you earlier with the door slam, that was probably one of the scariest things. Oh no, I had something else scarier happen. I was 12-ish, maybe, sleeping in bed, and one of those half awake things. So I understand that could explain this, but I was just turning over in bed when I felt a hand grab my ankle, and it was not an adult hand. It was a kid hand. It was small. It didn't go around my ankle. It was just small little fingers, pudgy little fingers grab my ankle. Of course I screamed, and I heard little footsteps. I heard footsteps running into the closet. So that was one of the actual scariest things. The funny thing is, later in life, when I moved back in, that was my son's room. And after he started watching Supernatural, he put salt in front of that closet. So I'm like, I don't know if there's a correlation there, but so those are some of the scariest things. The structures, those don't really scare me because I sleep in the cabin. I've camped in tents in the woods. I'm not really scared right here. And we haven't ever really seen anything in the woods. A skunk a couple times, but
they're pretty dangerous.
Skunks are wonderful. I just set up at the skunk fest that they do over in Avon, and
I have one that lives like right outside my window.
They're great.
So during the summer when we have our window unit in our bedroom, it sprays right by our window.
Oh, great.
And I go into the room and I'm like,
my uncle was a veterinarian. People used to try and keep them as pets.
They don't make bad pets, but you got to get rid of the stink sacks.
To get rid of the stink sack, there's a couple things you got to do it.
Yeah. So I real quick, I didn't even get to talk about Hunter, which everybody loves. I wrote him in my book. So I have a hybrid wolf as a pet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We got talking on horror and everything else. I forgot. So he got sprayed by a skunk recently, so he did not like that. But yeah, he's a
You
hybrid.
didn't like it even more.
No, he's an outside animal. But for a couple days, I'm like, oh, Hunter, I'm not playing with you today. I'm sorry. But yeah, I have a hybrid wolf. The vet says he's 75% Surloose. He's a rescue. Bones in his paw, in his foreleg, did not develop and grow, so it bends funny, and they were going to put him down. None of the wolf shelters wanted him, so he's a rescue. Great boy. And I try and talk to kids about wolves sometimes because, oh, the big bad wolf, scary wolf. Parents, oh, wolves are scary. No, they're not. Wolves are not scary. They're very friendly, very playful. They're pack animals. And our family is part of his pack. He treats us like part of his pack. And, he'll do things like roll over on his belly and want belly rubs. And we're like, Hunter, the other wolves are laughing at you right now. He doesn't care. But so, yeah, that's one of the things I use to draw the kids in. It's like, hey, I got a wolf. They're like, you do? So, I got pictures of Hunter and I talked to him about it. I got some videos and I've started putting videos up on my channel with my website and that. Me talking with Hunter, because I say he's my writing muse. So I go out there and I'm like, okay, Hunter, I'm having this problem. What should I do? And I ask him what I should do and how we should solve this writing problem. And again, I'm doing it to try and draw the kids in, to get them interested in the reading and the writing. Oh, I want to read about Hunter. Well, he's in this book right here. Oh, Hunter helps you write. Well, you want to talk to Hunter, you can write also. Again, it's just those little tricks to draw kids in.
I like that. I'm having a writer's block on my book, and so maybe I should go talk to Ginger. So.
Yeah.
She'd probably tell me, just give me a treat and go away. But
for me, a long drive, things get sorted out. I hate to admit the number of times I've missed exits and ended up in the wrong city because my brain was so focused on some problem that I'm actually barely seeing the road. So I'm surprised I've not been in an accident, but that's
disassociating right there.
Yes, it is a little bit.
Just know, statistically speaking, your subconscious mind is driving.
Yeah, something is. Thank God.
It's not going. It will let something go off in your head beforehand before something bad happens. But
I'm all for the self-driving cars because
my Subaru has gotten me out of some places that I shouldn't have been in. So, well, now, Stephen, you're gonna have to send me some books. I'm jealous now. I talked about earlier with all the authors. I try and get cited books from everybody. And now I got to have yours to add to the collection. Of course, I'll probably give it to Wyatt. He's just starting to learn to read. He's 4 going on 5. So my daughter's been real good with him, sitting down every night and reading him something.
Nice. I'll get your guys' address. I'll send you books. Give me just a little bit before I send them because the Bigfoot book, I've got preview copies out right now, but I'm adjusting it a little bit, making a few improvements. I've got a book coach I've been working with. The way I described the book is Scooby-Doo meets the X-Files as written by Lemony Snicket. That's how I describe it.
I love it.
So,
did you self-publish?
Yes.
Okay. Are you happy with being self-published? I've heard people say yes and no.
Absolutely. I think part of my introvert or spectrum part is I'm kind of a control freak from that stuff, and I just wouldn't trust an agent or a publishing company, and I don't want to be told you have to publish it now, you have to wait, this is how much you're getting paid. If I've been working on the marketing and things like that, I don't have a lot of money to spend, so I've got to do other things to get the word out, and I've been improving my rankings on all the places that some of this stuff is sold. So I know the marketing.
I have to get you onto the Asylum with Harley and Joker, and then you could put your books out there too, because we have a good following too.
Which the next thing I'm going to be working on with the Oddish Quester group is a Goosebumps-like series where they're younger and they're looking for other cryptids, basically made up cryptids that don't really exist in our world, Bigfoot and that, but they'll be treating it like they are. And so I'm coming out with a Goosebumps-like series, which, I think would be great.
I like it. Well, you're gonna have to come back and tell us about that too.
I'd love to. You guys,
you are welcome to come back anytime. I say that to a lot and mean it to a few, but you are really well. Not only did you come in and save us from me having to sit and stare at her for 2 hours or for an hour, but no
Not
offense.
that you would complain about that.
Not that you know. So, but yeah, you come in and rescued us. You saved the band. You should send them a message and tell
Hey,
them,
thanks, guys.
exactly. But no, seriously, do you need to come back when you get more of your stuff done, or even if you want to talk about it before you release it?
Yeah, I'd love to, especially the Goosebumps. I'm very excited about that idea I had for the Goosebumps and the cryptids and the younger versions of these kids.
That one sounds exciting to me because I grew up on Goosebumps and I love Goosebumps.
I'm actually just now, it was after my time, but I'm watching R.L. Stein's master class. He's another Ohioan, but I'm watching his master class.
I love R.L. Stein.
Yeah. And very cool thing is I was going through my books and I found an Indiana Jones Choose Your Own Adventure book where R.L. Stein is the author from like 1981 before Goosebumps and everything.
Oh, wow.
See, yeah. I'm an 85 baby, so I grew up with Goosebumps and R.L. Stein and all that.
Yeah,
I love we're that old. It's sad, but probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please come back and see us again. And I put it's not in the show notes because, you do podcasts, you're only allowed 1,500 characters. And
yeah.
So I always go back and put everything in. I'll put your website in. If there's some other sites you want to send me, just shoot them to me in an email. Okay. And get them in there. Probably not tonight. It's a late tonight, but I'll get it in there by the weekend for sure. Okay. And when we have you back, hopefully we will have the internet radio problem fixed, and you'll have an international audience in Australia. That's our we have about 2,000 listeners a night in Australia.
Nice.
Which blows me away. I don't know. I have no idea why
they like listening to our banter.
Nice. We our horror podcast. We've got a big group in Ireland because my co-host's daughter lives over there with her boyfriend, and he does Twitch streaming and talks about us. So all the Irish gamers are listening to us, which I think is awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. It's since I started doing the internet radio, I mean, I've done FM. I haven't done AM, but I've done FM per se. And you get some follows, but it's really weird to get messages from people in Australia that listen to you. I had a personal family thing happen, and I was off the air for about, I don't know, 6 months, maybe not that long. I had people reach out from Australia. What seemed like it. I had people reach out from Australia, and I'm like, what? What the hell do you want to know? A fat dumb redneck in Georgia talking about,
Awesome.
So it is nice.
I love Australia because it's like time travel because they're the next day right now.
Yes. And I'm having to learn some of the different words because I said something, was it a pickup truck or something? And there were people right in the station asking what the hell I was talking about. Apparently they call it, oh God, I should remember this was recently. And they were making fun of me because apparently over there, that's something totally different.
That's hilarious. I love that.
But yeah. So hopefully we could get that fixed. I swear I thought I had it fixed, but Windows 11 mix and soundboard just aren't working tonight, but we'll get it fixed but they will be available on podcasts. They will stream it later. So there's that.
Nice. Good.
So, and they did send everybody over to our Facebook page to follow. So I've seen we've got some viewers there. They put it up on their station page. So it was very nice of them. We really love the guys at Dare Talk Radio, Radio X. So they treat us well. So
nice. Good.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to let you go because we have kept you way too long. Thank you so much. I will shoot you an email and get you my address, and we'll work on getting you back on soon.
Great. I'd love that.
I'll send you mine too.
Love that.
And if you see Bigfoot, tell him I said hello.
So. I will do that. It's not as much camping up there now. Usually summer, obviously. Now it's time for our fall bonfires. So.
Yeah, we can't do that in the South. We burn everything up down here.
Yeah, because here in Ohio, we actually have all 4 seasons.
Sometimes in one day.
We got like 3 occasionally.
Yeah, but see, we actually get fall to where you can see the leaves change.
So why the hell is it going to be 80s until the middle of next week? I'm tired of it.
This is Ohio.
there's a hurricane coming. Don't worry, it's gonna change everything next
Ugh.
week. All right, man.
All right,
Have a
thank you,
nice
folks.
day. We'll
Night.
talk to you soon. Night. That was great. That was great. I'm really glad he came on and helped us out because I was afraid that we were going to get bored for an hour just talking to each other. So, I mean, I got what the hell did I do? I got enough things to bitch about, trust me. But and you surprised me when you and Chris wasn't even in the comments and referenced it when you made the Browns history note there. He blew us all away. So, who knew? Who knew you knew football? So,
I only know it because of my husband.
so
Well, and
And
then
we-
like the news pointed out that they have not beat the Browns since they have not beat the Packers since 2005. But the Browns really haven't done good since ever.
I'm trying to think.
Okay, not last year, but the year before they did pretty good when they had Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, they had a playoff run or two, but
Yeah, that was
they
when they
haven't
had
done-
Baker Mayfield, and then when they traded Baker Mayfield, they didn't do.
And now look at him in Tampa.
And
I
he's
hope he
not
gets
doing
a Super
good.
Bowl. Well, no, he's doing better. Well, he's injured, but I mean, here's the thing with a quarterback: you can be the best quarterback in the world, but if you got 300-pound guys hitting you every 2 minutes,
I know Baker Mayfield from when he played at OU. And he used to come into this little diner called Jimmy's Egg that I used to work at.
So you know,
He's an asshole.
Well, most of them are. Most of them are.
Samar JP Ryan, he is
I
not.
don't even know who that is.
He used to play for OU. I'm not sure who he plays for now. But him and his mama used to come in there every Sunday. And he tipped really good. And they were really nice.
Interesting.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
most
there's
of the
some that
players
are.
that played for OU were really nice, except Baker Mayfield. He was an
Oh, well, here's the deal. And oh God, well, there's probably nobody paying attention at this moment. East Tennessee, Peyton Manning cannot stand him. Cannot stand him. I was a paramedic, ran one call, and I was introduced to asshole Peyton Manning. I'm just going to leave it at that because it could violate some laws. But yeah, cannot stand him. He could go away. His brother, the one that's looking over here and here at the same time, much better quarterback. So, and their grandson apparently just pitched a temper tantrum on the sideline and threw a ball at the coach. So, seems like fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So, all right. So we have a show tomorrow because tonight we're missing Big Brother. A lot happened since we last had our episode. In fact, so much happened. There's been like 2 HOHs. You better be taking notes of this shit because I know I won't remember.
And there's been
There's
people
been
that we liked being eliminated.
And I'm getting messages from people that there's about to be another big shakeup.
Well,
I don't know if it's true.
I watched live feeds today, okay? And Ava and Vince were talking. They may not be getting rid of Ava.
Yeah, she's been
They
doing
may
a
be
really
getting
good
rid
job.
of Ashley.
Ava has been doing an exceptional job of getting in their head.
They may be getting rid of Ashley.
Yep, because Ava's like, I'm a villain. Don't you know that? They're not going to vote for me. And granted, she has made some comments and done things, but we're human. She's been locked in this house with 16 people for a summer.
But in all honesty, she does have jury votes over Vince and Morgan.
Oh, she does. But she's like, nah, they're not going to vote because I said this. I said, she is. Yeah, she's very good. And she's got
But she knows
Vince's
she's
smell.
got jury votes. She knows she does. That's why she's playing her cards right now.
And she's got in Vince's head. And it's working.
I saw it on live feeds today.
Yeah, it's working. It's just a little snide comments here and there. And she's like, well, I guess I'll take fourth. Huh, you're going to get second, huh? And she'll walk out of the room. It's like,
okay, Vince has been telling Morgan that she deserves this and he loves her. Oh my, Blech.
Yeah, they better have security there because he's gonna be shot. Oh, so
Vince's ex-girlfriend is gonna beat Morgan's ass when they get out of there.
man, I wish we knew somebody and could get her because she broke the NDA, so she's not under a disclaimer. We should try and get her.
Who? Morgan's girlfriend? I mean,
Yeah,
Vince's girlfriend?
Vince's girlfriend, yeah. We could call it revenge podcasting. Do that. You're good at this stuff. Weasel it out. We'll talk. I would like to do that. We're the Revenge Big Brother podcast. I'll get another CBS executive to message me. It's been 2 years. I'm off the radar. All right. So we got that coming up tomorrow. And then next week, where's my calendar? I know I got it here somewhere. Well, maybe I do. I had it up here. Next week, hopefully we will get all of our issues fixed and be back on the air at Radio X and Yergs. Because I'm tired of technical difficulties. Windows 11, you suck.
Isn't the first one we were supposed to do that jelly thing?
No, next week. Yes. Oh God, I got to send that to you in the mail. Yes. So we have.
That's like next week.
Yeah, I got to get that to you. We have. Oh, where is it? So we have hour 1. We have the owner and creator. And I got this bottle set aside to go in the mail to you of Fired Up Jellies and Jams. So we're going to have a live taste testing. Harley will have the strawberry vanilla rhubarb jam, which I have no idea what rhubarb tastes like. So she will
Rhubarb is so good.
I don't think I've ever had it. So
Strawberry rhubarb pie.
I will put in a request actually I put in a request today for Baja pie, Mountain Dew Baja pie.
I've made that before. It's really good.
I need the recipe for Mama Sportcat. So yeah, I need to get that in the mail to you. I got a goodie box for you of some stuff. I got to get that in the mail to you. So that's hour 1 with Michael David Smith, and we're going to do the tasting live, and we're going to be going back and forth with him. And in the second hour, please don't fail me. Please. I have arranged another podcaster, not YouTuber, content creator. He does camping, but he does stealth camping.
What is stealth camping?
Well, you go into work in the morning at your Arby's. There could be a guy camping on the roof. He's in Cleveland. Just throwing it out there. So
that makes me want to check the roof at Arby's.
I think he posts some he did a McDonald's, and he did McDonald's. I think was the most recent. What was the one before that? It was another fast food place. And he said he does stealth camping. He will go camping and play. Now he does regular camping and fishing videos and stuff, but his drive is he is a stealth camper, and he's very good at it. And he's only gotten busted a time or two. So he also has some Bigfoot stories to share from where he was out in the real woods. So and he's also going to talk about another issue near and dear to my heart. He has been battling with some PTSD. So he's going to talk about how that's affected him and how he's gotten better. So that'll be good. So hour 2, if we can get him, like he said he was going to be here. Fingers crossed. So we will get, for those of you that tuned in looking for Bourbon Sons, they will be back. They had a family emergency or something happened, and they had to cancel last minute, but never fear. We will get them back. Because I was so excited. They have some good stories to tell too. So we'll get them back. All right, Harley. Well, you ain't got nothing going on between now and then, do you? Now and tomorrow night.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll just see everybody tomorrow. What time are we? 10 o'clock tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You keep me in track. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Remember to go hit that thumbs up button. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. both mine and Harley's channel, especially mine. Oh, trying to get monetized, Harley. Come on, work with me here. She's ignoring me, like most women.
I'm not ignoring you.
That's why we get along so well. You don't pay any attention to me. I guess I shut the chat down because I wasn't putting their comments up. I'm sorry, chat. Love you guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you soon.